Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new podcast, a brand new adventure. I am absolutely buzzing for this. I've been buzzing all day. My name is Robbie Collins, or I should use my nickname that I've made for us, Rockin' Robbie Collins. And joining me on this adventure on the Bullseye Banter podcast, it is ruthless Reagan Stevenson. Reagan, how you doing, man?
All right, Robbie, I am ruthless, so I don't want to see any dodgy checkouts of that, Robbie. But it's great to be doing a darts podcast because I know me and you talk about football, but both of us also like darts as well. So yeah.
You might have seen us on the Scottish Football Zone. I will promise I will have a webcam by the time we go to record episode 2. Just having a few difficulties, but we will get that sorted. Joining us on this podcast will also be Ice Cold Owen Cochrane, but he is not here right now. He is having a few difficulties, so we'll wait and see if he turns up at some point. But I thought we'd just get right into it. Reagan, I want to ask you a few questions about darts because people obviously know us for football, people know the clubs we support, people know everything about us in football regards, but we don't really know anything about us in the darts terms. So first question I've got is how did darts sort of become a thing in your life?
I think it was just sort of 2012, 2013 when sort of Scotland was kind of big in darts. You've got obviously Ando, and then you've got Peter Wright as well. Um, I think it was just sort of the players, and you think back to that sort of final when Anderson sort of beat Phil Taylor in the final. That was the kind of one where I kind of look back and I go, that's what really got me into sort of darts as well, Robbie. And I think there's been so many memorable moments for me as well in terms of like dark moments. I actually went to a darting exhibition in Motherwell as well, and I met Michael Van Gerwen, and I've been to meet a few other players as well. So no, darts is special to me, to be honest with you, Robbie.
It is definitely one of the sports that I think holds a place in everybody's hearts, to be honest with you. That's really cool that you met Van Gaal. That's something I didn't even know, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm finding it more stuff as well. But no, I'd say for me, it probably started a bit later. I always sort of had a dartboard chucking about the house. You'd fling darts on the board, just kind of aim for the bullseye every time, that way. And then, I was sort of growing up. I think it was the 2017-18 Premier League where Joe Cullen made the final and missed a double 16 by
Against Michael Van Gerwen.
by like less than a centimetre. He missed the bullseye, pinned the wire, and Joe was my favourite player that tournament, and I just remember being so devastated by the time when he missed it. I think it was actually probably a bit later than that, to be honest. But I'd always sort of, you always sort of know your household names. You know your Phil Taylors, Michael Van Gerwens, Gary Anderson. You know all these players. But when I seen Joe Cullen play, I absolutely loved him, and I think that sort of sparked it. I've been watching ever since, and me and you both got to attend the Premier League a few weeks ago, who will be joining us shortly. Obviously, he got to be there as well. It was some event which I'm sure we'll get into talking about later. But just on players, Reagan, who was your favourite darts player, or who is your favourite darts player?
Who's my favourite darts player? I probably like players that probably people don't really watch darts probably won't too much about. My favourite players are probably Martin Schindler, the German player,
What a
and
shout.
I'd probably say Price as well, and I'd probably say I like Danny Noppert. So there's quite a variety, Robbie. I just think these players are kind of underrated players. I don't know why, but I've always kind of been the underdog kind of story. I
Aye.
always kind of like the players that are like I know that obviously people like Luke Littler and Luke Humphreys are the standout players, but I always seem to kind of stick by the kind of stories that I kind of see in darts because a lot of people just kind of watch it for the Premier League on a Thursday night. But I watch darts uh, every weekend if it's on the Pro Tour, if it's on Euro Tour. So I'm quite a watch darts all every kind of tournament that's available.
You do get some people that, they'll tune into the World Art Championships and maybe a few nights in the Premier League, maybe the final night. And that's really it. But I think I agree with you. I like watching all sorts of tournaments. I like watching the Modus Super Series sometimes. I know that's obviously
Aye.
free to watch these days. That's got some really good play. I remember a few weeks ago Mason Whitlock played his dad, Simon Whitlock, in a few games. That was
I met Simon Whitlock before an exhibition in Motherwell as well, Robbie.
really? That must have been cool. The old wizard.
Yeah,
What a
the
player.
Wizard.
What a player. But it is interesting. We'll probably touch on Martin Schindler a wee bit later on, because he's one of the players that I feel probably should have done a bit better by now in the telly tournament. You know, he's always one that sort of lets down on the telly, but that's just the way it is. I mean, some players are made for the flair events, but we'll get into that. I think for me, Reagan, you know, my favourite player, the ferret, Johnny Clayton. That's no surprise.
Yep.
I've loved Johnny for ages. I sort of preferred Joe for a long time. I don't really, to be honest, I don't really look at dart players like I look at a football club. You know what I mean? I don't just support the one club. I sort of like a lot of dart players, but Johnny Clayton and Cullen were my favourites for a long time. Cullen
Yeah.
kind of fell away for a wee bit, to be honest with you. He's been kind of half the sort of top 16 for a while now. But Johnny Clayton, as we're going to talk about later, has had a sensational Premier League. Who was your sort of first favourite then? You know, you sort of look at Martin Schindler and Danny Noppert and that. Now, who was your first, if you could remember?
Probably Anderson. I think it probably goes back to the player the World Championship when they played Adrian Lewis, when that was a brilliant game. But I think in terms of Anderson, that was he was probably the first kind of player that I properly enjoyed. And I will say Robbie as well. I don't know if you see it from time to time nowadays, but I think it was 2018 or something that he played Van Gerwen in the Premier League 6-6, and both of them were on a 170 to end the game in Newcastle. I actually travelled down to Newcastle and watched that match live, so it was great to be there and see that as well, Robbie. So no, I would say Anderson straight away.
That's class. You've been all about the place watching darts, man. You love it. You love it. I think I'm probably the same answer as you. I think probably Gary Anderson was the first player I really connected with darts, but it's just hard not to. You know, you listen to that story. His first 9 darts were what 141, 180, and 141 or something mad like that. He said he hit, and you're just thinking to yourself, the guy's had it for the very first time he picked up a dart, and such a likable character as well. He's so funny in interviews and different media he does. Obviously, he called out a bunch of content creators a few months ago, which was funny as well. But no, I think Anderson's very easily likeable. As I said, that Premier League with Joe Cullen, man, I've never felt heartbreak like that. And you know me, Regan, I've seen a lot of football heartbreak with St Mirren, but I don't think I've ever seen it like when he missed that double 16. But a couple more questions before we really get into a conversation. I wanted to ask, who's your favourite pundit in darts?
Favorite pundit, probably Dan Dawson for me, Robbie, because I think Dan Dawson's probably the one that's kind of a darts aficionado. He probably know the kind of things that me sitting watching it on the TV probably doesn't know. But then he kind of alerts you, and that's what kind of drew me to darts. Because I think one of the good things about darts as well is it's so accessible. I know a lot of people watch it because of the Premier League, but I think because of the European tour, I'm getting in that mindset because of Dan Dawson. He always says the best tournament in sport is the Euro Tour. And see now, to be honest with you, Robbie, I tend to agree with him because I think that if you look at see even if you look at people like Martin Schindler, who spoke about, that's somebody that's doing very well on European tours, but now hopefully he can do well on the big TV stage. So I would probably say Dan Dawson for me, Robbie, but I think it's closely followed by Went Mardo as well.
Aye, Dan Dawson, who when Owen joins, you'll find they used to actually take a disliking to Dan. I never actually following you the reason why. He always used to say he didn't like Dan Dawson, but I think he's taking a bit more liking to him now. For me, it's got to be Wayne. I mean, the guy is just phenomenal. I think the way he can entertain commentary. You know, that Dan Dawson, I love him because he's the sort of stats nerd, if you will. You know, he knows everything about the players, he knows everything about the game. He's a serious dart player, but it can also a dart pundit, sorry, but it can also have the sort of funny side to him. Where Wayne is just class in every department. He's so funny, he's so energetic. Such a big character in darts. I've got to say, there's a few probably others. I mean, Paulie James, I think, is a good dart pundit as well. Um, I always forget the other one's name. Oh, that looks so bad on me. Who's the lassie that's got the ginger hair? She
Abigail
does Sky.
Davis.
Aye, Abigail Davies. That's it. I think she's really good at it as well. She obviously does a lot of football stuff as well. But Reagan, I think the dart scene's really good in punditry. There's so many good ones.
I mean, I quite like Mason as well. I think he's really good. I think he was probably the standout person on ITV for a long time, but obviously ITV's now moved on to Matchroom Sport for PDC purposes as well. But I think there's some great pundits, Robbie. I think for me as well, nobody's kind of mentioned from the both of us about John Part as well. I think John Part's good.
Aye, John Part's really good. It's funny you mentioned Mason there. I remember seeing a clip of him the other day, and I was just surprised with him. Like they all do know so much. It's mental. How much they sort of studied arts and how much actually goes into it. You know, people just think it's players get up and chucking things at a board, but there's so much more tape punditry around darts, and especially when it's on so frequently. You know, we'll sort of get into talking about players. I know there's been a lot of issues with travelling in the Euro tours in the last few weeks for players, but you need to remember these pundits and everybody else, the commentators, they all need to travel all over the world as well, following them, and they need to do all their research while doing that. It must be a hard graft being a pundit.
Aye, but I'm sure it's all worth that sacrifice, Robbie, because they get to go to New 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 York, New York and obviously Australia, um, but Bahrain, Saudi Arabia as well. So there's so many great places to go as well.
There is, aye, it's a sacrifice I'd definitely make if offered. I'm just, I'm putting it out there in case PDC are interested in it. But that's episode one, probably too early for that. But we'll get into actually talking about some things that have been happening in darts recently. Of course, the main sort of talking point for this show is the Premier League. We'll leave that to last. But there's just a few things, Regan, I wanted to sort of touch on. So on Saturday, we'll touch on the PDC Women's Series as Greaves' run come to an end. So Beau Greaves' record 114 match winning streak in the PDC Women's Series came to an end as she lost 4-1 to Fallon Sherrick in Wigan on Saturday. The three times women's champion Greaves, the first woman by the way to hit a 9-dart finish on the PDC Pro Tour, had not been beaten since April 2025 and had won
Wow.
17's women's offence in a row. Sherrick, who averaged 102.12 to the 100.28 produced by Greaves, went on to lose 5-3 to Lisa Ashton in the final. But aye, Reagan, Beau Greaves, 114 unbeaten.
Yeah, I mean she's a really really good player. I remember watching her on the Pro Tour and she beat Luke Littler as well. So she's a quality player and she is the one that I think is going to go to the very top. I think she's got the attributes to go to the top 32. I think, and Robbie and the PDC definitely
Do you
because
think? Sorry, on you go.
no, I was just going to say I know people talk about Fallon because obviously a few years ago she'd done some great things, but obviously in front of the Sky cameras as well, and she made worldwide headlines. But I think Beau Greaves, no disrespect to obviously Fallon Sherrick and Ashton and people like that, but I think Beau Greaves is just a standout player.
Do you think Beau has what it takes to compete with the sort of men, if you will? And I think she definitely shows that she can average. Her averages are through the roof at times and the stuff that she plays. But one thing you noticed, and I can't remember what event it was. It might have been the UK Open where she was in, and you
Yeah,
sort of seen the effects of her playing long term. You seen her; she played maybe 4 or 5 matches in the one day, and obviously that takes out any dart player. But do you think Beau has the stamina and the competitiveness to be able to keep up with everybody else?
I think one of the disadvantages, Robbie, for people that don't really know, the ladies series only go up, go up to first to five legs, so probably that's probably her downfall. That a lot of the UK home events that she loses in, Robbie, a lot of them are first to 10, you know,
Aye,
and so she's not really used to playing that. I know people say, well, it's only another 5 more legs, but it's still to be able to get used to that and be able to get used to the bright lights in the TV cameras as well.
aye, me and Owen play a first to five, and the rooms are absolutely shattered after it. So I can completely understand how it would hurt. But I think you're right. By the way, I think Bal's got every capability and every possibility of being a top 32 player. I think she could be a top 16 player, if I'm being honest, Regan. I think she is that good. And I think she'll only continue to get better as well.
She needs to build her floor game up, because her floor game's really good, but she's not done it uh, over a consistent period yet. She's done it in sporadic moments, but she needs to do it year after year, and then eventually that will get her into the sort of TV events more often.
It makes you excited to watch, especially the World Dart Championships, because you genuinely believe if Bal's in there, she's got a chance at doing something.
Oh,
She's
she
got a
definitely
chance.
is. A chance. The big thing for her is probably to get a good draw, because you want a draw that you can get through. I mean, you look at Luke Littler in his very first year when he got through Alexandra Palace. As much as I don't want to be on sort of bad towards the opponents they played, but the first 2 or 3 rounds they sort of didn't play anybody of proper note. So if she can get through the first few rounds, then she could definitely do well.
Aye, 100%, and I can assure people that it's not the last you'll see her bowling it. I'm sure it's not the last winning streak she's going to go in the women's series either. I think you could probably see her reaching levels like that again. So we've definitely not seen the last of Bow. But moving on to the number two currently in the world, look, Aura Humphreys, and I do apologise to Charlie Murphy for dropping that in there, but it was quite funny, the clip. I don't know if you've seen it, Reagan. The sort of social media drama that's been on. I mean, I'm going to come to you about that before we actually get into and win the Belgian Darts Open. But look, Humphreys, he obviously got that bit of media criticism last week, and somebody that I thought he was actually really good pals with, and Charlie Murphy obviously made the comment. I mean, what did you make it?
Yeah, it was just daft, like you said. I thought they were really good friends, Robbie, and I don't see why he's put that sort of negative press on him. To be honest with you.
I think when you watch the full clip, I think you can almost see what Charlie's trying to sort of anticipate and say. But when you're a guy like Luke Humphreys, who, as we mentioned earlier, he does so much travelling, he's got so much. He's trying to play darts, and he plays darts incredibly well, by the way, even though he's the number two in the world. I suppose comments like that probably would hurt him, but he did win the Belgian Darts Open.
He
He
did.
won the title with an 8-6 win over Johnny Clayton, who nearly fought the comeback. And then after that, he joked about his attempts to become the second best player in the world. But wow, what a Belgian Darts Open, Reagan, that was. It was a phenomenal tournament.
I mean, I thought Danny Noppert played really well, to be honest with you, and then obviously he gets beaten by Neil Zonneveld, but I feel like Danny Noppert played really well against Ryan So and obviously Ross Smith. So I think in terms of the whole tournament, I think probably the best game of the tournament was the match between Zonneville and Luke Robbie. I don't know if you agree, but I thought that was a cracking game.
I would agree. A superb 1-4-7 finish by Zonneville, by the way, to win the match. But it looked like Littler was putting a wee bit of pressure on him. I think he hit
Yeah, yeah.
Liz
I
at
think he
one
done a
step.
1-3. I think he
Oh,
done a 1-3-6 the leg before, Robbie.
aye. And obviously, it's very understandable if a dart player crumbles when you're playing with Littler because he is that good. But Zonneville really kept it together. And I was listening to the For the Love for Darts, and they were saying, I believe Zonneville does now quit his full time job, which Reagan is going to give him a huge help. I remember when Johnny Clayton done it 3 years ago, and that sort of kicked him on. I think you're going to find the same with Neil Zonneville as well.
Definitely. I mean, he's a player that's shown real quality, Robbie. I mean, Neil Sonneveld is a really good player, and he showed last week against obviously MVG that he's a quality player.
Aye, and let's welcome to the stage. It is ice cold Owen Cochrane. Owen, welcome, man. How you doing?
Not bad, how you doing?
Aye, good. Thank you for joining us. We've
No
sort of
problem.
been talking about a few things. I'll ask you a few of the same questions I asked Reagan, just as I sort of get to know you for the podcast. So, how did darts sort of come into your life? We can see the dartboard behind you. I know how much you love darts. You've probably got about 1,000,000 dart sets sitting to your right hand side right
Aye.
now as we speak. So,
Yep.
how did darts sort of begin for you?
It's just like I think there was one day I was like I think I was going through like a channel or something like that. I just seen there was darts done, and then I remember watching the World Championship final between Gary and Phil Taylor, and like I watched that match and I was like, wow, I just love darts now. So that's basically how I got into it and all that. Basically, it just I remember that being my first ever time watching darts was Anderson against Taylor in the final, and obviously Anderson pulled off a good win to stop Taylor for the first time. So, that's basically when I started watching that.
Aye, Reagan was talking about that match earlier as well,
Aye.
saying
Then I
he
see that was my
remembered.
favourite one as well. Owen,
Aye,
so
a phenomenal
Ah,
match.
I love Gary,
Um,
man.
oh, we all love Gary, but just on the basis of that, right now, who's your current favourite darts player?
Um, oh, it's been it's between two of the now. It's between Johnny Clayton and Little.
Oh, you're a Luke fan. He's been getting, as Reagan mentioned before we started, he's been getting a few
he's a
boos
bit of
recently.
choices of mine.
Aye, I'll
Or
probably get
Gary.
me. Aye, oh, but everybody loves Gary, but he's phenomenal, isn't he?
Aye.
Like, yeah. So I think I'd probably know the answer to this, but who was your first favourite darts player?
That would need to be Gary.
Aye, I thought you were going to say Gary, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Reagan, is there any questions I'm forgetting here? I'm trying to rethink off the top. Oh,
No,
who's your favourite darts pundit?
Wayne Mardle.
Aye, that's a sensible choice. I was saying to Reagan that you never used to take a liking to Dan Dawson.
yeah, he's my favourite
I,
pundit. But he's my
I
favourite
actually
pundit.
didn't. I actually didn't like him for some reason. I don't know why. It just sounded like what people are like. I was like, why did you sound like that? And then he's came to me, but he's came to me. Yeah, he's came to me, but
Aye, I think that there's so many good ones. But on just to sort of get your thoughts and catch up on Beau Greaves, she
mm,
obviously lost a 114 match winning streak in the PDC Women's Series on Saturday. Lost
yep,
4-1 to Fallon Sherritt. We were sort of talking about her being in the sort of maybe top 32 and top 16 in the future. Do you think
yeah,
she can build up that sort of calibre and stamina to compete in the sort of top 32?
definitely, yeah. She's obviously. I don't think that defeat will, like maybe hinder her performances and all that stuff. But obviously, she's won so many now in the women's series, and obviously she's a two-time world match play women's champion right now. So obviously, if you never told me about that when I was up at yours about her losing to Sherritt, then generally I would been none the wiser about it. Um, but it's a bit of a surprise to me to see that happening. But obviously, credit to Sherrick as well for doing that and winning against her because it's hard to beat her these days.
Aye, it's very hard to beat her. And that's what I was saying on it. I'm sure it will not be the last record she sets. I think she'll probably try and hit
Yeah.
that number again.
Definitely.
But aye, back onto the Belgian Open. As I was talking about, Reagan Nails Zonneveld quit his job. This can be hugely influential for him, and I think you will see the effects and see what an unbelievable player he already is.
I mean, somebody I like on the European tour as well is um, Dirk Van, Dirk Van Dijvenbode. So, so I think he quit his job to sort of take up darts and he's went back to being the kind of aubergine farmer that he used to be. So I think if you quit your job, then it sort of does pave the way for darts to be involved. And like you said, Johnny Clayton's quit his job and he's doing well in darts. So I think it is the proper way to go to, to, to sort of do well with it because at the end of the day, that I think darts is a full time job now. To be honest,
As the money certainly there, and that's for a full-time job anyway. Even if you're going to tap 64, I think you can make a pretty good living. So it's definitely potential there. And a player that didn't do so well on this European tour, as opposed to a player that did, I suppose, in Ross Smith. But Cameron Menzies, the man for Scotland that nearly ended his darts career by punching a table, nearly setting his horn on fire. The man's really done everything. It was a 6-4 loss he took to Ross Smith's Smudger, who actually played quite well at points in the match, and I thought deserved the win. But Cameron Menzies, he's no really striking consistency right now.
He's not, and he's still an absolute idiot. Honestly, I just don't understand why you do that. Literally, if you do that, and then you're going to cause trouble to your horn, and especially if it's your thrown on as well, and he uses that hand to fun his darts.
Aye, and obviously,
Literally,
we hope everything's all right with him, because obviously there was a bit of serious news. I'll no delve too into it that you were telling me about one, so but they hope he's all right. But
yeah,
aye, and he absolutely nearly flung away his starts career too.
I did literally, and he's even said in his interview as well. Apparently, there's times during this game, he gets pins and needles or something like he's on, and he struggles to throw the dart and all that, and I'm like, well, that's your fault, innit? So if there's nothing, if you can't stop that from happening, then that's basically your fault, because simply you just can't take a loss and all that. So, but obviously, if you can be annoyed, you've just been put out the, like, obviously you're a seed in the World Championships and you're getting put out and all that. So you shouldn't be getting really put out to somebody that obviously kind of not really heard a wee bit. But as again as well, he just can't finish. Like, there's so many darts he has at double and he just misses them. Literally, pretty sure he had 3 darts at tops to make it 5 each and he missed them. Literally,
I've got my
his
kind of
pressure's terrible.
take on Menzies. I think he's a good player, but I think psychologically he could easily be top 16, but mentally he just sort of he sort of feels the pressure too much.
Oh,
Aye,
100%.
He sort of feels the pressure.
I
Aye.
cannot wait to try and watch him and Anderson in the World Cup. That's going to be
That's gonna be good.
absolute telly. Come
Aye.
the World Cup of darts. But
All
Reagan,
systems there.
Scotland to win the World Cup with Gary Anderson and Cameron Menzies.
Yes.
It's going to be great. But Reagan, another player that had my interest and caught my interest during the European tour was Cristo Reyes, the Spaniard, ranked 89th in the world, put out James Wade, defeating him 6-2. Wade, who's obviously had a very good last year, probably should have been in the Premier League. But this Cristo Reyes guy, you watch him and you hear about him in the sort of Pro Tours and other sort of tournaments, and they always seem to pick up a few good results.
Sorry, Robbie. I don't know if Owen's getting the same kind of feedback, but I'm sort of struggling to hear you, mate.
Oh, I'm a wee bit laggy. Oh, that's good. Good first episode. Can you hear me now? Aye, sounding good.
Still
I
sort
can
of
hear you,
Oh, I'm not sure if it's something on your end, Reagan.
Yeah. Robbie, there we go. I can hear you now, yeah.
All right. Oh, perfect. I was just talking about Cristo Reyes, the Spaniard, ranked 89th in the world. They put out James Wade 6-2. A guy that always sort of pops up in the Pro Tours and these European tours, especially in the on-floor events, and always picks up a few good results.
I think he's been a player for many years, but I think he's always been good in the sort of lower ranked events. But I think he is someone that can still cause bother, and I think he showed that during the European tour as well, Robbie. Aye, because I think he's one of these players that I think he can do it on sort of 2 weekends, but then the 6 weekends after that, he sort of struggles away. So I think he's one of these players that he can actually do very well, but then he sort of struggles. So it's a difficult one for him.
Aye, and when we were talking about the final and Humphreys and all the media criticism we got off of Charlie Murphy over the last week, he's sort of shown his form again, beating Johnny Clayton. As I mentioned, a pretty impressive fight back for Johnny at points, but Humphreys ultimately got it out of the line, and he's certainly proven the critics wrong after that.
Oh, 100%. Literally, I can't believe I literally seen in social media and then he was Not Charlie Murphy's trying to slate him, man. That's actually incredible. Honestly, that boy can't even average over 60, and he's slating them. He's slating a
Owen's
world
got
number
it.
2.
Owen's got it.
Genuinely,
Charlie Murphy after episode 1. I love it. I absolutely love it.
literally, the guy's world number 2 averages up near enough over 100 averages near enough every time he's playing, and a guy who can average over 60 is literally slating. Literally, that is mental. But I'm really happy for Humphries because he's deserved that. Because every time that Littler gets put out, he gets put out near enough straight after, and he can't get over the line. But this time, Littler get put out early, and Humphries capitalised on it and managed to beat Johnny Clayton. I thought Clayton was going to come back when I seen he was staging a wee comeback, but then Humphries managed to get it finally done. So credit to Humphries, and hopefully just keeps powering on.
Aye, all I'll say is some of the things you said about Peter Wright last year was maybe would have had you and Charlie Murphy territory, but
Well,
but moving on for that, Reagan, on the other side, it was another phenomenal tournament for the Ferret. Johnny Clayton making his way to another final. He's obviously done very well in the Premier League, which we'll come on to talk about. The Ferret's having a pretty good year.
Aye, he's playing really well. I know people were sort of moaning at Sky for putting him back in the Premier League at the start of January, but he's sort of proven that to be right because he's playing very well on the Euro Tours, he's playing very well on the Pro Tours, and he's doing very well in the Premier League as well. So no, I think Johnny Clayton done very well this weekend. He's playing some top darts, and like Colin was saying there, I think he was 5-1 down, am I right, Robbie? And then he sort of staged a sort of fight back where you thought, oh, Johnny Clayton could actually still win this match. But no, fair play to obviously the eventual champion and obviously the world number 2 because he showed his class.
It did, and you're looking at the Welsh World Cup pairing now, Johnny Clayton and Gavin Price, and obviously that's a bit further down the line, but you're quite excited of watching they two face up against it again.
Aye, Robbie, I don't know if you've seen during the weekend, just something funny that I managed to watch on Saturday night was Michael and Daryl when they played each other, and
Aye.
Daryl says, I'm 40 years old," and he went, "Well, what you look about?" Um, I said, "I'm 4 years older, and I look younger than you." And two of them are kind of bantering, but I don't know about you, Robbie, but I always think Daryl Gurney looks as if he's had about 10 pints.
Oh no, he does. He always looks a bit tipsy at times, but
Yeah,
he's a phenomenal darts player. To be fair,
he's brilliant,
aye. But no, the sort of Euro tours and the Belgian Open, they're always good events to watch. But we know why we're here, boys. We're here to talk about the Premier League of darts. Before we get into the upcoming week, obviously in Berlin, we need to go back because we all attended the Oval Hydro, Glasgow. We all attended it. We all went. Owen, I'll come to you first. Did you enjoy that? I'm going to assume you enjoyed it because I think you go on there enough every year, and it was some night as well.
that was a good night. Definitely, it was a really good night. Just a pity that there was no a full card and all that, and unfortunately one had to drop it that night. So, but other than that, it was a good night. But
Aye, it was. Reagan, you obviously went as well. It was a great night of the darts.
I mean, I didn't expect, obviously, Johnny Clayton to beat Littler by 6 legs to 1, but it was fantastic that night. First match in the tournaments, but it was just great to be there again.
Aye, I certainly didn't suspect Johnny was going to win. To be honest, as much as I was going home, I was like, right, hopefully we get to hear his song more than once, then I'll be a happy boy. But it was such a great night for him. I think the one result I took away from it on was Clayton didn't just beat Littler; he demolished him 6-1, and what was a really massive result.
100%, literally it's mental. Obviously, I think when it was obviously, I'm pretty sure we went 1-0 down or like 1-0 up, and then literally it was just Clayton just absolutely just battered him. I was like, wow. But obviously, Little could make the excuse, oh, I had to wait so long, but to get playing and all that. But obviously, you can't just go up there and just and play like that. Like, you're not going to get anywhere playing like that. But Johnny Clayton deserved it, man. He was brilliant the full night, even beating Price for the first time. And I don't know how many games he lost to Price, but finally got a win over Price, obviously. So I was brilliant.
Aye, and of course, Regan, you made it on the telly on Sky. I remember you sent me the
Did
clip
I?
after the show. You were there. Your darts hat on. That was brilliant.
I did, thanks to Amazon for the dartboard hat, but I was great to be on the telly as well.
Nah, and the only thing I love to say is just that there you go. That's the only picture you need. Playing on Zlatler. That's enough said. But no, it was seriously, it was a good night. And I'm sure it'll not be the last time we go to the Premier League. Hopefully, the next time we can get media. Hopefully, the PDC invite us to go for Bullseye Banter, go and do some coverage. That would be nice. I'll get that one set. I'll get that one set at the PDC team, see what they can do. But no, moving on to the actual Premier League of Darts coming up. We're on the Uber Arena in Berlin, night 8. This is when obviously the league table sort of splits and players will start playing other players based on their standings. So the quarter-final lineup is Johnny Clayton versus Josh Rock, Humphries versus Michael van Gerwen, Luke Littler versus Stephen Bunton, and Gerwin Price versus Jane Van Ven. Reagan, obviously, Van Veen withdrew last week because I think it was kidney stones the reason. He's back this week. He's got a pretty big tie against Gerwin Price, where you've got to say, when you're looking at the table right now, Jane's he's not really lived up to what I sort of expected him, to be honest.
No, I think the best thing about him this year's been his walk-on song, but I think he's actually played okay. I think he's just run into some really good players. But I think in terms of him, I think it'll be a hard game. I think I remember actually Dan Dawson saying that Van Veen's got a pretty bad record against Price. So I probably would expect Price to win this game, but I think it'll still be a close match as well.
Aye, Owen Jean sitting 6th at the time of recording, one of only 3 players yet to win a night in the darts, him, Humphries, and of course Josh Rock. He's facing one of the toughest tests it could be, and Gerwin Price has had a very, very good Premier League so far.
Oh, 100%, literally. Obviously, I think Van Veen's made, is it 2 or 3 finals, but he just can't get over the line. Actually, his first, obviously, his debut he was good as well. Obviously, and made a final, I'm pretty sure. Obviously, beating Littler at that point as well. But aye, it's going to be a tough game. Actually, no game in that Premier League is easy. Obviously, I know obviously Josh Rock's not been playing well and all that, but there's no hard game at all. Easy game or something in there. But obviously, Price, well, somehow we get beat in the final last week.
God, last week, yeah.
I just
crazy.
somehow he lost that from 5-0 and up, sorry. So let's see if that confidence is maybe differed a wee bit but we'll find out.
It might do. Reagan, before we sort of touch on Josh Rock and I suppose the sort of poor start he's got after, one of the other boys that's not got a win yet in the Premier League, Luke Humphries, the world number 2, we spoke about him. How much pressure do you think will be on his shoulders? Because, you know, we speak about he showed what he's made in, he showed in his quality, but you need to try and get that Premier League night one under your belt.
Aye, but I think for me, Robbie, he'll still make the playoffs. I think in general, I think he's still playing pretty well. I just think sometimes because it's a sort of like it's obviously the best players in the planet that you're playing, so it's a difficult one every week. So I think it's to do. I mean, I think he's still playing pretty well. I think he played pretty well last week against obviously MVG, but obviously MVG played very well. But I think in terms of him, I don't think you'll be too worried, to be honest with you, Robbie.
Nah, probably not. Just one of the things on where, you know, you'd rather have a night win under your belt by now than no. But moving on to Josh Rock, 0 wins, 0 points,
Yeah, he's
bottom
struggling.
of the leaderboard, struggling big time. A format that I actually thought would work out in Josh Rock's favour. I thought he was tailor-made for the Premier League, but he's really no got gone yet.
He's no. literally 1 minute, you're on a Euro tour. The week before you go to Dublin and you're making, I think you're making like a semi or quarter final, and then you go to Dublin and then you get absolutely battered. After was it 6-0 you get beat or something like that? I can't even remember now.
After Price, yeah.
Literally, nah, 6-0 against Price. Literally just, and he played really bad again. Literally, and then obviously that weekend just there, he got put in the first round. And that's obviously not good. That's not good comments going into Berlin for, even when you've got the man that's top of the table now, Johnny Clayton. So it's literally, it's not going to be easy at all. Literally, he's really struggling, and I do feel for him as well, because I do want him to get his first points on the board. Literally, because I don't want somebody to go through a full 16 weeks of venues and not get a win. So hopefully a win does come at some point. So yep.
Aye, hopefully, yeah, as you know, Ona spent the money big for a Josh Rock tap. I supported him in Glasgow.
Mhm.
Thought he was going to get his win. It didn't obviously happen. What I want to know for you boys, Reagan, I'll come to you first, is what's your shocker for the Premier League and who's no making the top four? Because right now it's looking like anyone's game, but if you get anybody you think's just going to miss it?
I think Michael Van I think MVG is going to miss out, Robbie. I think it'll be him because I think he's playing well, but like I said to you earlier, CMVG, I think he's struggling apart for the first sort of 3 weeks. I think he got off to a great start in terms of winning the sort of first two of the first 4 weeks, but I think now he's sort of struggling. I don't think he'll make it. I think my top four would be Johnny Clayton, Luke Littler, Price, and who's the other one?
Humphreys.
Yeah, Luke Humphreys.
All right, well, I did see the disappointment on Owen's face because Owen is actually back to MVG to win the whole tournament. So he was a bit gutted to hear you say he's not going to make it in the
Green
top four.
machine.
But
The green
Owen,
machine.
what about you then? Owen, what's your top four then?
Well, I'm still going to have to go and back him. I need to go and back him at some. I need to back him for top four. I'll go Clayton, Littler, Humphreys, and Van Gerwen.
Oh, Price. Oh, he's went Price to miss it
See
in the top.
when you're saying you've bagged him, Owen, do you mean you've put money on him or
I'm not. I didn't put money on to win the whole thing. That was just my prediction at the start of the first
prediction?
night. And then he won the first night. I was like, yes. But then after that, it's been terrible.
Oh, I can't believe you've went Price to miss it in the top four there, man.
I know, actually.
I think Price is playing too well.
I think he's playing a bit too well as well.
So they are, but I need to put Van Gerwen in there somewhere if I want to win the whole thing.
Do you want an even rogue prediction?
On you go.
Josh Rock gets in.
My top four's Johnny Clayton, Gerwin Price, Luke Humphreys, and Michael Van Gerwen. I think Luke Littler misses it in the top four.
Oh,
I
said that.
I think he's going to take a tumble. I don't think he'll win another night this Premier League. I'll be honest. And I think he's going to be at the top
four. Get this podcast cancelled in the first night.
He's going to win the night in first, isn't it?
I know he's going to beat everybody 6-0 and he's going to romp through the final.
I said that to you as well, by the way. I did say that to you. I said it was like, was it night 3 or something like that? I said he's not making the top four. How bad he's playing.
Aye, no, I can't see it. I think he's going to take a tumble.
But well now, Robbie.
He's playing all right. Aye. But I don't know.
Can't beat Neil Zonderville, but can't beat
Neil Zonderville for the Prem next year. No, but boys, it's time for predictions. Night 8 in Berlin. What I want to know is I want to know your winner. Who's going to win the night? Owen, we'll come to you first.
Oh. Who's Price playing again?
Gerwin Price is playing Gian Van Ven.
Oh.
So it's Clayton Rock, Humphreys Van Gerwen, Littler Bunton, and Price Van Ven.
I think Clayton will win it.
You're going Clayton?
Yep.
Alright, I'll make a note of this and for every prediction we get right in terms of who wins the night. I'll give us a point come the end of the Prem. We'll see who's got the most. I've also went Johnny Clayton for the night as
Can't
well,
wait.
and I think he's got a very.
Can't wait for Josh Rock to beat him 6-0.
Right, enough of that, you. No, I think Johnny Clayton's also going to take the night. But Reagan, who do you think is going to take the night in Berlin?
I'm going to go for Price, and I think the final will be between Johnny Clayton and Price.
All Welsh finale. You know, I like that.
Oh, yeah.
And it works out in the draw as well, so that's actually quite good. I also, you know what, I could see that being a possibility, it being an all Welsh final. Both players facing off against each other, that'd be nice again. But we've all went Welsh players to win the next Premier League night. We call it fancy the Welsh boys.
Yep.
But I think that's all we've got time to talk about. Has anybody else got any other interesting conversations or questions?
I just wanted to ask you guys in terms of like darts sort of venues. What's your kind of favourite darts venue? Because I hear people talking about the Ali Pali, but I don't think the Ali Pali is my favourite sort of darts venue.
Oh,
I know mine.
I think Ali Pali's the easy option. But you know what? Seeing a Premier League night, right? I quite like the Dublin Arena last week. I quite like Dublin. I
It's good.
think they've just a
It
decent
feels of
atmosphere.
everything, right?
I'll never forget. Was it Dublin in the Prem where Willie O'Connor made his walk on?
It was,
What an amazing walk on that was. Of course, the bias in me saying the Ovo Hydro, but I don't actually believe that.
No, I think that.
Is this just
I think.
on
Sorry,
you
on you going?
go? On you go, mate. On you go.
No, I'm saying. I think for me, the best venue is Blackpool.
Winter
That's mine.
Gardens.
The Winter Gardens.
Aye, the Winter Gardens.
I've
That's
been there
mine.
one time. I've been there one time.
The Winter Gardens is amazing.
Aye, very good.
Iconic.
You know what the best thing about the Winter Gardens is? I remember trying to describe this to him one time. See the walkout, like they have the little board behind the player, when they walk out and it like has like that picture on it. It's so good, the walk ons at the Winter Gardens. So PDC, if you want to send us to the Winter Gardens to do some coverage the next time it's on, then we'll be more than happy to make a wide in there. But no, any other questions before we wrap up?
No, I'm just going to say you're probably your favourite matches that stick out for you. Have you got a top three or top five kind of matches that you sort of pick out?
There's so many you could pick for. Do you know what? I enjoyed the Littler 6-1 demolishing Gavin Price demolishing them 6-1 in Glasgow. That was good for a fan point of view, but no.
I'll give you one to start off with. The Price versus Anderson game in the
is that the one with all the drama?
In the Civic. What a game. That was just box office.
Aye. That was good. That was the one with like the passion and that, wasn't it?
Aye.
Oh, that was phenomenal. Owen, you get any that spring to mind?
Well, I'll have two now, right? It's got to be the first one I watched, the Anderson Phil Taylor one, because that's incredible. Actually, all the way to the end, 7-6-1 for Anderson. But see the one very recently, the Grand Prix with Littler and Price, how Littler just comes all the way back.
Aye.
Brilliant.
His checkouts, he's 1-5-4 to save the match, takes it out, and then he's 1-5-2 to win the match. Brilliant. Oh, what a game.
Aye. I'll tell you, I'll give you one. The 2026 World Dart Championships, Gary Anderson versus Jane Van Veen. What an incredible match.
That was a good game.
That's one of the best matches I've seen live, man. That was phenomenal. Genuinely.
That's one as well, actually, right? I know Josh Rock didn't get a set in that game, but that one against Justin Hood, where Hood just didn't miss a double.
Oh, what a game.
What a game that was for him, man. Brilliant to watch.
Justin Hood, man. What a guy.
Honestly, brilliant.
Do you have to get him on the podcast, Robbie?
We should get him on the podcast. I'll send this out to Justin, see if he's up for it after the show. See if we can get him on the pod. That would be fun. But no, that is all for us. Thank you so much for listening to episode 1 or watching it if you're watching on YouTube. This will be available on YouTube and Spotify, so please please give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscribe, all that sort of good stuff. You can follow us on social media. We actually do have a Twitter and stuff. I will leave it down in the description. I do believe the Twitter is Bullseye_Banter. On Instagram, we will have a page set up soon. I'm planning on doing that as this episode releases, so that'll probably be linked in the description as well. I'll also link Reagan, Owen, and mine's personal profiles if you want to go and give us a follow over there. Check out some of the other stuff with there. I know me and Reagan do some awesome work, and Owen sometimes as well with the Scottish Football Zone, so you can make sure to go and follow us over there if you like a wee bit of footy talk. And aye, boys, thank you for joining me for episode 1. We will be back next week to discuss more darts, discuss how the Premier League goes in Berlin. And I will speak to you guys later. Goodbye.